Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Hearthstone Battlegrounds Lobby Legends. My name is TJ. I'm joined by the one, the only, wearing his cable knit sweater here on the broadcast. It's Sottle. How you doing, Sottle?
Hey, TJ. Sorry, Flamingo Friday is exclusively the realm of constructed events and must stay there forever. Flamingo Friday must be protected. I take it very seriously. Unfortunately, it is not for the whimsy of Battlegrounds, but I am very much looking forward to the whimsy of Battlegrounds. It's been a while since I've actually been in front of the camera doing one of these events. Normally, I am behind the scenes pushing some buttons, controlling what you people are looking at and talking about, but this time I get to talk some nonsense of my own, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, I love talking some nonsense. That's actually one of my favorite things to do. But this is Hearthstone Battlegrounds Lobby Legends HALLOW'S End, also referred to as Lobby Legends number 8. We're nearing the end of the year in terms of the Lobby Legends circuit. But we'll give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be experiencing. Nothing's really changed. We have top 16, or 16 of the top global Battlegrounds players. They're going to split into 2 8-players lobbies today. Well, they'll play 3 games each. The top 4 from each of those lobbies will advance to the final tomorrow. That final lobby will will feature the check format, which means that the first player to win a lobby while holding 20 or more points becomes the champion. I've grown to enjoy this format because it gives us subtle 2 days of very different styles of Battlegrounds play.
Yeah, it really splits day 1 from day 2 for sure, and then it also kind of forces drama into day 2, right? There's the suspense of not quite knowing when the tournament is going to end. You know, once you're 3, 4, 5 games in to the final lobby, the tournament could be ending at any moment. And then personally, just my favorite thing about it is when you are doing this kind of points-based system, as you have to do in an auto battle in Battlegrounds, it makes sure that the player who wins the tournament on a victory, right? The moment is climactic and they actually have to get a win under their belt. There's none of that, oh, I got 7th and I fell over the line to win the tournament, you know, which I think is slightly less impactful overall. So check format is something that I have become a pretty big fan of as well. And hopefully we are going to get another pretty hype day 2, as we have been for the last several events in a row.
Yeah, I've grown to appreciate the drama once we start to get into like game 6, game 7, game 8. On the final day, once we get into that check format. I've still yet to see in one of the lobby legends that I've worked on like a 6+ lobby, like 6+ players having the lobby in check. Each one I've done has been around the 4-5 mark, so I want all 8. That's what I want. I want all 8 players to have the lobby in check. So we know that it's going to be the final game. The drama that would entail would be quite cool. But from the last Lobby Legends, we do have some changes that have come into the fold, Sottle. Some minor, some larger. The addition of some new quests and quest rewards. A couple new minions added, a couple minions removed. And as of 3 or 5 hours ago, Khadgar Evil Twin. But we'll get into that in a bit. Because right now we want to talk about the Tavern Buddy extension. That's right. We have an extension exclusive to Hearthstone Battlegrounds Lobby Legends. The first one, let me take a step back. These are little games that you can play in the extension where you can earn points and move your way up the leaderboard throughout the broadcast over the next couple days. These 4 little boxes that you see on your screen, these are each individual game that you can play within the extension. Sottle and I will be playing along throughout the weekend. We're also going to be keeping track of our scores so you can match yourselves up against Sottle and I as well to see how you fared against the casters. But Sottle, why don't you at least do the first 2, then I'll do the last 2, because the last 2 are my favorites.
Okay, sure. We're starting things off with Fantasy Team. 3 players per group that you are building a squad to amass points on you based on how they finish in that individual group. It's 3 players from Lobby A, 3 players from Lobby B. As TJ mentioned, TJ and myself will be doing the same thing, and you get to see whether you can stack up your predictive skills, your player knowledge, against two people who are supposed to do this for a living. So I think that is probably the most straightforward. If you're familiar with any kind of fantasy draft in anything that you do in esports or even in analog sports, then you will be pretty familiar with what that means. Puzzle box, a little bit more unique to what we are doing. Predict the events of today's matches is what it says. What does that mean? Essentially is a series of yes or no questions that are part flipping coins, part Battlegrounds meta knowledge. You know, things like, for example, to spoil one of the questions that we'll get into in a little bit, will a player win a game without a full board? Now, there's a very particular reason why we put that in as a question that, again, we'll get onto later. But it's the kind of thing where if you know the game, you might be able to reverse engineer some of that knowledge into getting more consistent answers from the puzzle box, or you can just guess and see what happens in that situation. Either strategy is valid.
I'm a big fan of some of the questions today, in particular one of them, which leads us to our next Tavern Buddy little minigame, Bandwagon. Bandwagon, you have to guess the winner of an individual game based on the first 4 turns. This is going to be open during the first 4 turns of every game that happens over the next 2 days. The catch here is that the earlier you guess your winner, you input your winner, you have a potential to gain more points. So, you know, let's say Solid and I both guess the same player on our bandwagon pick for an individual game, but I guessed mine on turn 1 and Solid guessed his on turn 2, then I would get more points than Solid, even though we both got it correct. So high risk, high reward play going on with bandwagon, which if you're really confident that someone's going to win, you pick them early, you get all those points. And of course, the final Tavern Buddy game is going to be Barov's Blessing. We didn't mention it, but our shot caller / spectator, whatever you want to call him, for this weekend is going to be none other than Neil Lorinda Bond. Neil will choose one combat, basically, one buy phase, 2 players pitted up against each other. You're going to see them both appear on the screen at the same time. It's going to say Barov's Blessing at the bottom. You have to choose, just by looking at their boards in the buy phase, who's going to win that very next round of combat. If you guess correctly, you get points. If you guess incorrectly, you don't get any points. If they tie, everybody gets points. Amazing. I love when they tie. I was doing hand motions and I was going to try and be more composed when it came back to camera, because I don't want people to see just how excited I get for Tavern Buddy. But you caught a little glimpse. I'm this big excited.
Yes, indeed. And in general terms, you should see that overlay or you should see that extension on your Twitch overlay right now. Several of those things will be open. The start of tournament ones, Fantasy Team and Puzzle Box should be available right now. In-game ones will happen as they happen, but you can go and take a look at that now and start to get a head start on some of those Twitch extensions. And again, scores will be kept, leaderboards will be maintained, and the caster scores will be shown at the end of the days as well, so you can stack yourselves up. If you've ever wanted an opportunity to prove that I don't know what I'm talking about and you in chat know more, well, this is it.
This is it. I wish I was in chat. Okay, well, moving along. Here's the points distribution. Pretty standard, right? For first, you get 7 points, 7th, you get 1. 8th, you get 0. Even splits across the board. Of course, if we do have ties, it just splits the difference. It takes the average of the players that finish. So, for example, if 2 players tie for 3rd, they both get 4.5. If there's a 3-way tie for 4th, they get 3 points, because 5th would be the middle ground there. So we will show you a graphic at the end of each round that shows how many points players have earned in that lobby. So don't worry if you can't keep up, we'll keep up for you.
You can see the prize pool that is being played for $50,000 in total, $10,000 going to the player who finishes in first, and you see that is a steep jump from 2nd to 1st, which massively incentivizes kind of the high-risk play that we are looking for. Check format, we talked about how that incentivizes and in fact mandates you going for wins in individual games. But I think the prize pool distribution here does a pretty good job as well of just making sure that people are playing for that win. But more so than that prize pool, I think being able to call yourself a Lobby Legends winner over the course of this debut year for Battlegrounds esports means a lot more than any amount of money can possibly do. Well, that's not true. If you're going to win $1 billion, that's probably more important. But somewhere along that scale, there is a cutoff point.
My number would be a lot lower than $1 billion. If you told me that, hey TJ, I will give you $150,000 if you agree that you'll never be able to be a champion of anything in Hearthstone for all eternity, would you take it? I would.
150,000 seems low. I think my number is significantly higher than it's somewhere between 150,000 and $1 billion.
Your odds of actually becoming the champion of anything in Hearthstone is much higher than mine.
That's true. Yeah, no, that is.
So I figure, the odds are low, right? I plan to, be doing Hearthstone stuff for as long as I can, but the likelihood that I become champion of anything is pretty low. Though we have had some caster competitions in the past, some of which I have been the champion of. And so it would feel bad to give up those because that's encapsulated in that clause. So $150,000 should make up for that. But here are the puzzle box questions for the day. Sodal, what you were going to retort?
Well, I was just going to say, if you really think about it, when I moved from pro player to caster, that is essentially what I ended up doing, right? Like, I took an amount of money guaranteed to guarantee that I would never actually be a champion in Hearthstone. And I can confirm it was $1 billion. So it works out.
Can confirm. Okay. Sodal mentioned earlier the puzzle box questions are open. Here, if you want a little bit of guidance, I'd recommend that you go with the left column of answers. You cannot go wrong with TJ's puzzle box answers. We've learned this. Will a player win as the jailer? Both Sodal and I said no. Will all 6 winners use a different hero? We differed here. This one's a toss-up for me. I just went
kind of is.
Sodal said.
Yeah.
Will a player win a game without reaching Tavern Tier 6? Yes. Happens all the time. And it only has to happen once, right? Will a player win a game, right? It only has to happen once. So, will Sodal correctly pick a bandwagon winner on turn 1? Absolutely not.
Well, even picking purely at random, we're going to play 6 games today, and I would have a 1 in 8 chance of doing it purely by chance. So I have 6 shots at a 1 in 8, which means mathematically I should get it right at least once on average, and I think my picks will be better than average. So yes, the real protest here is that essentially I'm being nerfed. By putting this into the puzzle box questions, I'm now being forced to make my my bandwagon picks on turn 1 every game because, they fear my analytical knowledge if I got to evaluate the board state for more than one turn.
I don't think it's as simple as 1 in 8 times 6 because you have to factor in your... I can't do this. This is going to be me. I was going to say your lack of Battlegrounds knowledge. I feel like it's even less than 1 in 8 because you're more likely to pick the wrong one because you don't know anything.
That is A, not accurate, B, not even how statistics work. But yes, moving on. Will a player win without a full board in their final turn? No. I'm pretty sure we both had yes for this question up until specifically last night when a particularly impactful patch hit the game. A hotfix was snuck in, changing a Khadgar Evil Twin scenario, which I think would have almost guaranteed that we saw a winner without a full board. And also was a big influence about winning games without going to turn 6, honestly, because that Khadgar strategy is something you can do without going to turn 6. But with that being hotfixed out last minute, the players have a very, very rapid adjustment to be able to make as to what the metagame now looks like with that adjustment. And we have had a minor adjustment to make on what our puzzle box picks are as well.
Yeah, a minor adjustment. We did the exact opposite. See, that's a little bit more severe than a minor adjustment. And then the final question, will a player win a game with Wisdom Ball? You gotta have faith. In the last Lobby Legends, it literally happened in the first game of the entire weekend. Lobby 1, game 1. It happened. So I'm going with yes again. Love Wisdom Ball. And yeah, I have faith. I have faith. There's some high priority quests have been added. So maybe the pick rate of Wisdom Ball will change. But I still feel like it's good. We're gonna see players pick it, and then it's just 1 in 8 times however many.
Yep, and here is the 8 that will be looking to be the one that picks up each individual victory. Group A, remember, of course, this is the pool of players that you are picking your fantasy team from for Group A. Particular standout for me, just looking at this group of players, is Say. He has been an absolute monster throughout the program this entire year, is holding down a phenomenal top 4 win rate in the tournaments as a whole up until this point, has been a recurring performer, has a first and a second overall under his belt, as well as an additional top 16. And remember, anytime these players appear on stream, they've already gone through the ladder qualifying phase and an off-stream tournament to make it to this point. So Say even showing up multiple times is impressive, let alone picking up the results he needs. So a player to keep your eye on for sure, one of the real breakout stars of Lobby Legends this year.
Well, my breakout star for Group A is Kurt.
That's right.
It's Kurt. What?
What's the matter, TJ?
Different picture for Kurt. Previous graphic.
Oh.
Yeah, same Kurt, different photo.
EJ's just such a Kurt aficionado. He just noticed a disturbance in the Kurt for the picture change.
I noticed a disturbance in the Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt had a good start to the year. Got into the top 8 in the very first Lobby Legends that we had. Raid Leaders, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Since then, hasn't actually made it to a broadcast phase of Lobby Legends, but Lobby Legends 8 is the time to turn it around, to cap off the year, and then cap it off again in Lobby Legends 9 with some dubs. So we both have Senior Held. Senior Held's been pretty consistent, at least in sort of the second half of the year, with a broadcast appearance, at least in the last Lobby Legends. So should be fun. Should be fun. Both our fantasy teams are pretty solid, but I have the Kurt advantage.
You have the not picking Say nerf, in fact, on that side. And there we go, straight in with a bullet to Lobby A, game number 1. We are looking at Say, of course, previous winner of Lobby Legends 6, runner-up in Lobby Legends 5, and someone that I am picking to do very well yet again. Interesting choices here. Nguyen would be the one I would gravitate towards. Say does seem to agree. Zyrella, I think, historically has been an extremely high-tier hero, but I think personally is struggling a little bit in the current metagame. Ways to abuse gold right now, I think, are a little bit less important. Ways to abuse tempo is generally what the meta is right now. And, you know, the ability to buy an extra minion for 2 gold, not quite as impactful as it has been in some previous meta games. So we are going to get some Panda action instead. And this is going to be a Elise Bell hero power.
Yep.
Yeah, like it.
Don't really have to worry about the downside as much because Master Win and has a nice little shop with the Sunbake and Relaxing to be able to do it. Oh, look at all those block chips. Oh, gosh.
A double. A little bit scary, 40 health hero being able to kind of take a ramp start in this situation, like a Elemental start or a Sunbacon start. Start where you're weak in the initial fight, because starting to take damage early at 40 health, when you're then going to get a very slow quest to complete, which will probably bleed you some health as well. Always a little bit scary, but I don't think anything else was particularly worthwhile.
It's turn 2.
Oh no!
Sottle did not get his bandwagon pick in on turn 1, so that's 1 out of 6 down for me in terms of puzzle box questions. If you haven't put in your puzzle box question, I don't know if it's closed yet, but I don't even pick a bandwagon pick for turn 1 in game 1. So I was just waiting. I literally put mine in instantly. So
I've never done this before, TJ. I'm too used to be switching perspectives. I'm out of practice. All right. I'm sorry. Any believers in chat, I'm sorry I have let you down. I will refocus. Trust me, next game, we're going to nail it first try, okay? And it will be first try because I didn't even try this game.
I picked Kurt before Kurt even picked a hero. Now Kurt has Cthulhu, and I'm a little bit regretful, but still gotta have faith in the Kurt. Cthulhu's, at least to me, is not really like a winning hero. Cthulhu
Agreed.
is
Yeah.
top 4 type of hero, which makes sense actually for this group stage because, like we've both mentioned, it's top 4 or bust, right? It's all you need to do is secure enough points to be in that top 4 because points are reset going into the finals tomorrow. It doesn't matter if you finish in 1st or 4th. It's the same outcome for you. No seeding, no nothing. So, did we see what I was probably putting my bandwagon pick? What Oliek's initial quest was?
I don't believe we did.
Denathrius.
Nope. Yeah. We started off on Master Nguyen to see what that initial hero power was since we started there anyway, so I don't think we got to see the Denathrius. There we go. 6 minions for Shifter Zerai, which is not a bad first quest, not particularly difficult to complete, and does give you some initial tempo early on, which is something you're generally looking for from that first Denathrius quest. Especially now, taking an early hit, again, 40 health heroes taking damage early on is always a little bit worrying.
But, and I feel like that's a good quest early because it increases the likelihood that you get a high roll Xeris. Yes. And can just run away with the game.
Ooh.
I've really been liking Kidnap Sack.
It's so good. It's so good.
Cooked Book is also good, but play 6 Battlecry minions is pretty, like, anti-tempo.
Yes.
Normally.
Unless the shop is incredibly kind to you, it's a kind of cookbook that you're going to start scaling like turn 8, turn 9, and even then that would probably involve like staying down levels. Yeah, and if you're if on turn 9 the first thing your quest has done is given +1/+1 to the next minion that you buy, you are probably bleeding to death at that point. So probably a little bit too slow for my liking.
Someone gonna die, you think?
I think based on the fact that the lowest health player is Say, who's at 34, and the damage cap is still on, seems kind of unlikely.
Yeah, pretty. Oh, look at this start. I like this.
Double patient scout and decent tempo from the road boars as well.
This is pretty good. The road boars, I think, are gonna allow Kun King to basically stay ahead or even in most fights because they're big enough to where they're snowballing and getting a blood gem every turn. So you make them bigger, which makes them more likely to keep getting blood gems, and then you can cash in, 3-4 turns from now and get something big. So I like this.
Ooh. That is a nasty value trade. In the end, though, is going to take the damage from a 2-drop here either way. But yeah, it's a decent board. You have a nice kind of 50-50 split, right? A couple of greedy minions with the patient scouts that you can milk for value. But at the same time, the road boars are fighting for tempo a little bit to defend some health. And ideally, I think Kun King would be looking to get through those early fights without taking a significant amount of damage. So an unfortunate loss there to the Jandis in the end, who was fairly strong for that turn.
Yeah. Yeah. At our first triple presented to us here. Oh wow! Actually, no, it's not. It's the second triple because already has the Tabby Cat.
Yep.
Tripled on board. So what was it? Pirates and Quillbore?
Pirates and Demons, I believe.
Pirates and Demons. Okay. Well, that's going to be a ways away, I feel. And a Patient Scout. Whoa, okay. Does have Banner Boar, I guess, to help with tempo slightly, but it's going to be a pretty weak board, especially if Oliek decides to Tavern up again next turn to try and find something big from that Alley Cat triple.
Yeah, and I do think, again, it's always hard to predict how the meta is going to function. I know competitive environment compared to ladder, but right now on ladder at high MMR, the meta is quite tempo focused. These kind of greedy scaling quests are often bullied out. There's like one player that hits and super high rolls and they beat everyone eventually, but the tempo players bully everyone out of the lobby. That's essentially how things go. So you can kind of see that, right, with Kun King here with a massive board already, has refused even to hold on to those Patient Scouts for maximum value, cashed them out, has taken a huge board state in general. And you can compare that to what Oliek is doing on the other side, right? Like, imagine these two boards fighting each other right now. There would not be a happy outcome for Oliek. Although, those Shifter Xeris are starting to pay out a little bit here.
Yeah. With a Peggy, that could be quite interesting, but looks like...
I hate leg day.
Okay. It looked like gonna hold for a second, but it's gonna take the triple for a 5. This is... We could be looking at Pirates. Oh, okay, Vanessa Van Cleef. That's not the pirate I was thinking of, but still some good scaling going on.
It's also, I mean, Agam is bait almost exclusively 100% of the time. Don't argue with me, TJ. I know you're dying to right now. But, yeah, no, here's the thing.
Agam and a Banner Boar on board.
Exactly, yeah. Banner Boar and the Xeris into the Pig probably makes it appealing here. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. This is almost, again, just the highest tempo thing that Oliek can do this turn. And I think his understanding that he needs to go tempo here, especially going up against a Kurtrus on the other side. As I mentioned at the start of the turn, if he hadn't have done this turn, he was going to get brutally murdered by his opponent, probably taking a full 15. It's still not pretty, but he might be able to not get damage capped here with the extra aggression he's gone for on the board.
Yeah, no, this is much closer. In fact, oh, I can't see. Okay. I was thinking that it might have been able to isolate 1 minute if it had better trades, but 7, not too bad considering what Oliek went into that turn with on his board. Yeah, we got a kidnap sack complete. We got some Murlocs going on.
Waparoo, back to the hand. Decent board. Probably also is again going to get murdered by the incredible high-tempo Kurtrus on the other side from Kun King, which seems to be the theme of these early fights. King of Pirates, huh?
Okay. There's a Peggy. What was the quest? Look.
5
battle
cries for, yeah, +3/+3.
Tiny Henchman.
Tiny Henchman, yeah.
I hate leg day.
I was thinking about the Swabby. Who I really need these battle cries.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ridiculous, right? If you don't think you're going to play Peggy long-term, Swabby does theoretically give you some curve stuff to do next turn as well and activate the quest, but I think it's a difference between, you know, Tiny Henchman, yeah, it's a nice quest to have, but it's not one of those quests you're like, okay, I'm going to revolve my whole game plan around completing this quest and then it's going to win me the game, you know, right? Which I think is a different situation where you might pick Swabby there. But instead, just leaning into the Parrot Trickster combo, just trying to dump a bunch of health around on his board, help fight for tempo a bit in the early game. And I think so far you are seeing very, very tempo-focused play from most of our players up until this point, right? You don't see people with 4 or 5 minions on their board right now greeding to triple into a 6, right? Which is something that you might have been used to seeing historically in high-level lobbies. That's not really happening at the moment, unless Lorinda can show us otherwise. But players just playing their stuff, completing their quests, defending their health, and just trying to play for tempo as aggressively as possible. That'll do.
Narrow victory, but a victory nonetheless. And I mean, Tiny Henchman could be good with the Trickster. Like, you know, you said not revolving the game plan around it, but has double McCall with an already large Trickster. Yep. That Tiny Henchman can be completed soon. Could be looking at, you know, pretty cool board state with like Baron later on, but we'll see. That's still a few turns away because of 5 Battlecry minions I don't think CCC had any progress on. So it's going to be a little bit of time before we see anything happen. Okay, got a 6 here. Yeah, Goldrin. Hey. Quite good.
Yeah, all right. Keep on tripping.
What's going on out here?
Those are not really it. Probably just going to end up being a Mantid. Yep, seems good to me. Senior Held has repeated Discover, another hidden body. The condition being friendly minions attack 8 times. So if he's playing Death Rattly Beasts, he's basically just going to discover a free minion at the start of every turn is the way this is going to work in practice from here.
Yep. Pretty good start. I mean, I say start, but it's turn 8, so we're not like super far into this game. We're going to start seeing our first deaths here soon. It looks like it's going to be Tudu.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we've seen Tutu at all up until this point. Tutu, Tatu, one of those.
Yeah, nope, haven't seen. I like Tudu. There's 2 T's.
Yeah, fair.
First appearance in Lobby Legends of any stage, so we'll see. Not having the best start here, but I don't think we've seen Tudu's board at all. So could have some scaling going on, but needs to do it fast because we're where damage cap is not relevant below 15. So, oh my gosh,
This hyena is going so hard right now. Okay, it's a good trade that guarantees at least a tie. No, it doesn't. The value trade on the final imp going to the left means that Senior Held is going to take some damage. Okay, Tatu here is the Wisdom Ball player, by the way. This is one of your puzzle box choices, and does find himself on Bran Murlocs. We didn't actually dip in too much into the makeup of the lobby. It's weird. The term Murloc lobby has kind of changed meaning a little bit over time. Normally, you would just say that as face value. This is a Murloc lobby, i.e. a lobby that Murlocs are in. But I think specifically, Murloc lobby has now come to mean lobby that Murlocs are in that Beasts and Mechs are not, because those are the lobbies that Murlocs kind of win for free. Beasts and Mechs having the best chance to stand up against Murlocs. Whoa!
Oh my gosh! I was laughing at the full high main Wisdom Ball board.
Yes.
Like, what is that?
That specific puzzle box roll, by the way, what it does is it rolls 3 minions and then I believe fills the last 2 spots with minions from the dominant minion type that you have on board. So the fact that they were both Primal Fins is actually still absurdly lucky, even without the even with factoring in that it's Wisdom Ball giving beneficial rolls. Yeah, honchos here make sense. Toxfins are the premium. You do not want... okay, I was going to say you do not want that Toxfin.
I was going to pick a Swolf in there just to have a stronger board next turn. Is that 12 health?
Yes, agreed. But Gurgle's a massive hit there, though. Really surprised that the 3rd Toxfin was taken, though, because it does mean that you only get 1 Toxfin battle cry in that situation, which is a little bit strange. Did allow him to triple into the Begurgle, which was, of course, a massive amount of stats overall.
Yeah, and because the less poison, these trades aren't the best.
They are not, no.
I think unless it gets really bad, still should be fine here. At least not. Yeah, and it's going to be a tie. Yeah, but I liked just picking up a Swolefin at some point, and there was offered it twice, just to get a little bit more stats on the board. Wow, and that's like basically like a full Murloc shop as well, on the reroll. So.
Hopping around all over the place here. Kurt has the dream.
Ooh, Kurt.
Materializing ever so slowly. Is down at 12 health, and this is not a great board for this stage of the game. That Mantid could do some work for sure, but that is a little bit underwhelming in terms of total stats, but still... Ooh,
still needs a Peggy, though. Because right now, the
Hogger.
only scaling is coming from the Salty Looters. Oh, okay. Eliza, okay.
So many shiny.
Oh my god, that's so much gold. That is so much gold.
It really is, yeah. And the thing is, like, you say he needs a Peggy, but when you hit 4 Hoggers, it doesn't necessarily matter what you then do with the rest of your board, right? Like, people think you have to go Peggy, Salty Looter, Pirates, whatever, when you have Infinite Hogger. You can buy any comp you want. You just have infinite gold. It's harder to build something else instead of just buying Pirates naturally, which is what's going to ramp your gold anyway. But the main part is just get 4 Hoggers, and then you win. You know, you can do anything you want from that position.
Oh my goodness, these shops have been terrible. Okay, gets a poison. It's pretty good. Yeah, well, there's a Peggy in the shop.
You want a tussle?
He's just gonna get the buff out of the way now, just to make sure that he actually gets it.
I love catching some waves.
Okay.
Finishing on the Scally as well, because Scally is the biggest dump of stats with the Eliza. Does end on hero power as well, just to dump that extra few stats on board. Probably going to work out if he does end up going infinite that he's going to have the spare health, spare gold at the end of the turn anyway to always do that, so makes sense overall. That's a really good trade for Kurt, by the way. The largest minion on the left-hand side not picking up a value trade in that spot is huge.
Is it a tie? Yeah.
That is a tie. Yep.
Okay. That's a good thing, I feel, for Kurt, because now is going to be scaling quite well in Trickster. Oh no, my fantasy team.
Trickster and Senior Held going down in 8th and 7th. I did also have Senior Held in my fantasy team, though, so we can call that one a wash at the very least.
Yeah. And then a new hitting nothing.
Yeah, but you can almost afford to hit nothing with Jandis Kidnap Sack on Bran Murlocs, because you already have a bunch of Primal Fins that you can play just with that one Primal Fin that you have on board. Yeah, going to Toxfin the Primal Fin because you're going to be keeping it here anyway. It makes sense.
Oh no, Barrow's blessing! We only have 40 seconds! Oh my god. Come on, Neil. 2 Murloc boards? You kidding me?
It's really close. The natural Divine Shield on Tutu's side, but then having the Selfless Heroes. It really depends on whether Zinyu decides to put this Selfless Hero in, which he does end up doing. Just like that. Did I do it right?
Yeah. It's like...
Wait.
They weren't even the same
each
one!
other! Lorinda!
Neil! No! All right, how does this work? Do we all get points?
Yeah, what happens now?
I mean, I picked
broken the
Tutu.
broadcast.
I picked Tutu, so pretty sure that means I get points.
Well, I picked Jinyu, who also won, so I'm pretty sure I get points as well. So yeah, everyone gets points.
Everyone gets points.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the most Lorinda moment I've ever experienced in my entire existence.
Yeah. I mean, what could possibly go wrong, right? Giving a 75-year-old man a production console. Right?
Give him a stream deck and say, "You figure it out."
Meanwhile, Tatu is now very much stabilized, has picked up those Divine Shield Murlocs from the puzzle, from the Wisdom Ball, which is huge. Speaking of extension, hopefully for those of you who have bet yes on the Wisdom Ball winning a game, Tatu will continue to march on here.
No one crosses the uncrowned.
Still no fourth Hogger for Kurt.
What's going on out here?
Is just marching on through this turn. This is kind of what I mean, right? Like, big minion, and then poison scam everywhere else, right? He's not leaning too hard into the pirates. The Peggy is not even making the board state here. He understands that, particularly without going infinite in this spot, he is better off just leaning a little bit harder into the poison scam as well, which makes sense to me overall.
Yep. And is going to be going up against Tatu, so we saw Tatu have a really good shop when we left the board and already had strong Murlocs with Divine Shield, so okay. Mana Queen lives, which is big.
We now have 4 attacks versus 5 attacks. Poison is left on everything, which means this is a guaranteed victory on the other side. But with just the rock pool living, Kurt is going to survive, live to fight another day. Kun King still just winning fights on this extremely tempo-heavy Kurtrus game up until this point. Have not seen him for a while, and now there we are seeing that he's leaning a little more heavily into the Fellbat angle. Olieg, meanwhile, has continued to live the dream with the Agam that I called bait early on.
Ooh.
And just about gets there, gets that huge kill as well on Say, knocking him out nice and early. Say, a player from my fantasy team, player that I'm picking overall to do very well in this tournament, going out in 6th place. Olieg now has picked up a big victory. See what he is doing with this Spellcraft quest, you would imagine, has just been juicing the Agam.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it depends, right? You can kind of wait and see how many blood gems you pick up on any individual turn, because it might even still just be better to kidnap sack the Trickster in some situations, right? Just to get the golden health buff flying around. Problem is, you would imagine Olieg has been dodging all the Murloc players up until this point with this board, because this board does absolutely nothing against poison Murlocs.
It's just stats.
Yep.
Which I can appreciate. I love me some Agam stats, but with Gem Splitter being gone, I feel like Agam has... I guess with Ball of Minions, it's still fine in you know, some minion lobbies.
I was talking as if this was Golden Hammer. It's not. It's Kidnap Sack. I'm being stupid. My apologies.
They have the same... Oh, no, they don't. They're both spellcraft, but they don't have the same icon. It's literally a sack, Soddle.
yeah, exactly.
It's a picture of a sack that looks like it could be used for kidnapping.
What an idiotic boob I am. It's fine, like...
For years.
Yep, damn straight. It's just, you know, Lorinda is a good friend of mine. I just thought I'd do something dumb to get the heat off Lorinda for a while.
Ah, yes. Yeah. So kind.
Yep. Hurt! No.
Oh, no, and he's dead. Oh, no.
50-50 to survive at the end. If the Agam had gone left into the Brand, found the value trade, and then would have traded 1-for-1 on the other side. Don't know what the odds were on the fight overall, but certainly at the very end there was a 50-50 to be found. R2 rolling down super hard now. Hits the tech card board, which now includes a couple of new cards from the new set that has come out. But still, the cards that you might just be looking for here. Tunnel Blaster is a thought. Obviously, you do have a couple of Divine Shields of your own. Oh, we're running it back. Oh, Barrel's Blessing, take 2.
What's this one be wrong too? Okay, this one's right. I know this one's right.
I'll give you a good price.
So I guess we're still calling this 1, right? In terms of our data entry.
There's still only one selfless on Kurt's side. There's 2 minion types for the Manid Queen. And Kun King has the Leroy plus a selfless of his own, plus a Divine Shield, plus 2 poisons. I'm working on my thought process here.
2 Mantids on 2 minion types as well, yeah. In terms of the stats of the minions that matter, this 140 covers everything though, so I do actually think this is a pretty good choice. I think this is a very close fight. Good job, Lorinda. Assuming they are actually fighting each other.
Yeah, assuming they're playing against each other.
Champions.
The white main tech thrown in right at the end, but smack dab in the middle, and it's a minion already with taunt, so.
That's good though. Divine Shield proc, that was the one you wanted. Leroy takes down a poison, those trade 1-for-1. This Divine Shield is now gonna guarantee do nothing unless it goes right. No, that's a big deal. And that is gonna spell disaster for our hero. And Kun King is picking up the victory on this one, eliminating Kurt in 4th place. A valiant effort from TJ's favorite player in the tournament.
We still got Tudu left in there. Wisdom Ball, we could see it on the first game again, Sottle. You always have faith.
You always believe in the Wisdom Ball.
Always believe in the Wisdom Ball.
Except mice.
Ooh, a Baron. 1 step closer. And with Wisdom Ball, oh, you get a Baron every time. Oh,
Yup.
See? Didn't even need the Discover.
The scourge will consume you.
The walking fort value. Oh. Wait, what?
You tread on sacred ground.
Oh, just making board space, I guess, and doesn't want to sell the Mana Queen. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Is it three Murloc players? Yeah, in the top 3. Nope, I forgot about Kun King.
No.
It's the I don't even know what you'd call this. It's Menagerie.
I mean, it's you can call it Menagerie. It's still essentially poison scam, right? Like 3 minions on the board are Leroy and poisons, and then you can call the 100 a functional poison. You can call the Fellbat a functional poison if you want to look at it that way. It's very similar to the board that Kurt built, right? Where he had the massive Hogger, the massive Salty Looter, and then just made everything else poison to fill in the gaps. It's a very common way of playing the end game, where you're going to scale throughout the mid game, and then you abandon all but your biggest 2 or 3 scaled minions to replace them very quickly with poisons.
Yep.
Decent shield, because it means the Baron has no chance of being able to proc it there. But I believe one of these tokens is going to have to take that Divine Shield exactly. Okay, that is a big deal. One of the poison goes down, which means this is now going to be a dub if this goes right, and it does. That is a win for Kun King, dealing 12 damage here to Zhan Yu, but no deaths in this instance unless R2 is going to shamefully die to Kurt's ghost, which I don't think is going to happen. No chance.
No. 0 chance. Oh my goodness. you're just amassing tech cards here, right? There's not really too many ways to kind of improve this board, considering you don't really want to sell off any of these minions.
Yes, you're pretty much done with your comp. If you roll another Divine Shield board from Wisdom Ball, when hit a Murloc, then you might pick up another Divine Shield, pick up another Toxfin, replace one of these minions with existing Divine Shield. But at that point, you've kind of already hit diminishing returns on Divine Shields, right? 2 naturally on the board, and then you have Golden Baron, Golden Selfless. Like, that's already more Divine Shields than you possibly need. So I do think tech cards are more the order of the day, reacting to what your opponents are doing, maybe looking for Tunnel Blasters in certain instances. But because what we have is a full Divine Shield poison battle down at the end, if you want to include Kun King in that, which I would, I think Tutu is just in the best position. I think Tutu is the player everyone else has to tech card around in this situation, right? Because Tutu's just done. This is the board. This is what you want.
Tutu has just won Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
Completed it, mate. Oh, these attacks are so good as well. Oh, whenever your Selfless hero clears a Divine Shield in a late game Divine Shield poison battle, best feeling in the world. Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Lives, okay. Everyone hanging on in there.
Unless Kurt's goes. Hello?
Come on, Kurt, we believe. Oh.
Okay. Or would like you to find the difference between these two pictures.
They are the same picture.
Golden Baron versus non-Golden Baron. Which is the only difference. And the natural Divine Shields as well from the Wisdom Ball rolls. So, doesn't matter how many stats you have. Look at the hand.
So, sorry, can we go back to Jinyu again, please? Because that Tunnel Blaster that Jinyu's rolled past, I think is a lot more interesting than the Tunnel Blaster on the other side for Tatu. Because his Tunnel Blaster could theoretically remove some of those Divine Shields. I don't know how much of Tatu's board Jinyu has seen, because obviously those natural Divine Shield poison Murlocs can take you by surprise if you don't know they're there. But Jinyu has to find a plan here because he's losing the Divine Shield battle. So he has lots of options in his hand of Leroy, even the Gascoilers, right, can be useful in terms of being Divine Shield poppers in certain situations, can also drop additional Leroys. But he is certainly the one who has to play from behind here and tech a little bit. And he's going to go with the Void Lord as his weapon of choice just for trying to bust some Divine Shields. Actually replaces the Baron with it overall, deciding that this Void Lord is more valuable for Divine Shield busting.
You're sacrificing 2 additional Divine Shields in order to have, at maximum, the chance to get rid of 4 Divine Shields, which never happens, right? Usually it's like, how many Voidwalkers you're going to get is you get 1 Divine Shield with the initial hit, and then I guess 3, but...
But I think what this was about, right, I think he had seen the board state significantly, and he knew the size of the Selfless. So by putting the Void Lord in, the Selfless actually hasn't procced yet. But unfortunately, the Baron value traded. Oh, but he's made it! He's actually got there. That is such a sick play from Jinyu with the Void Lord in the end, just delaying the Divine Shield value to the point where he actually picks up a victory. But guess what, TJ? It's only 8 damage. Come on, Kurt's Ghost! Kurt's Ghost! No!
If only the like the AI, I guess, the ghost, just at least press the hero power each turn, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Cthulhu hero power, probably pretty big. Probably wouldn't make a difference, though, because at this point in the game, stats don't really matter, but...
Just writing down Jinyu Game 1 Void Lord in my notes. Lobby Legends graded, coming to you very shortly.
Yeah. Subtle's going to do it in the break.
Yep.
So we added another poison, and we took away the selfless. That was in, but it has another selfless.
I like this.
Oh, yeah. Talk about Divine Shield poppers.
Divine Shield on the ball of minions as well. Throw this away, end on another Leroy. The Selfless hero, I think, is fairly irrelevant unless you get Golden Selfless. I don't think it's worth a space on your board. I think this is correctly played here from Kun King. Just evaluating, trying to get one big trade with the giant minion up first and then use the tokens that drop to pop some Divine Shields. I think this is good ordering overall. Yep, this is the good order for him as well. Now the shields will go off, the Leroy will kill the giant minion, and now he gets some tokens to try and attack into Divine Shields. Leroy's attacking into Divine Shields are also absolutely fine. There you go.
Nice.
And that's a dub.
Yeah, easy win. A lot of drama in the last one, but this one didn't even need the Reborn Gas Coiler, which is interesting. That was just a very solid victory. And now it's down. Oh, Tadu and Kun King.
Tatu has gone to 6, though, which is important because that is another of the puzzle box questions. Tatu was low level for most of this game, which kind of goes hand in hand with the Wisdom Ball strategy, but has gone to 6 now at this point, which means both of our players left surviving are on Tavern 6. So can still get a yes on the puzzle box for winning with Wisdom Ball, but there will not be a yes in Game 1 for winning without going to Tavern 6.
Literally, the board has. Oh!
Remember before when I said you'd hit diminishing returns on Divine Shields? He had the Begurgle here anyway, so I don't think it's ever Parrot, right? I don't think it's ever a Parrot angle.
No. Tadu's board literally hasn't changed.
No.
Since turn 16.
Yeah. These tech cards in hand, they've just been steadily growing. None of them have been used. It's just that situation you're like, yeah, maybe I'll need that, I guess. And yeah, deciding that this is now the moment. Gonna try and manipulate some of the combat RNG with a few taunts.
For justice. Are you on the guest list?
Taunted Leroy, I think, always a nice gambit to go for in top 2. Catch your opponent by surprise with that Taunted Leroy. I think in this instance, if your opponent's paying attention, he knows you have Taunted Divine Shield Poison anyway, which means they're unlikely to put a massive minion up front. Yeah, it's gone for Divine Shield theoretically up front. I say theoretically, that has not worked out at all.
The golden, or not golden, the Reborn Gas Coiler could be huge here because Tadu's stats aren't that high.
That's a really bad Leroy attack, though. Leroy taking out the minion that had no health, essentially. If the Leroy had hit one of the 40 health minions, may have been okay. Selfless hero, okay. Ooh, takes out the big poison. The Croc getting juiced, though. That's a lot, that's a win! That's a win! No way! That's a win! No way! Oh, Kun King out of nowhere. We talked about gas coiler scams, and we're normally thinking in terms of Leroy Jenkins specifically, but it turned out with the Croc Rat Pack drop coming off the gas coiler, actually just enough recurring stats to get there in the end. And Kun King shattering the dreams of not only Tatu, but of all the Wisdom Ball believers in Game 1, because that was a devastating last-minute reversal. What an ending. PJ.
I mean, how unlikely would it be for us to, for the second Lobby Legends in a row, will a player win with Wisdom Ball, and then have it happen in the very first game, both times, with me picking yes both times? Very unlikely. So, I'll take it. I still have faith. It's going to happen. Just that was the best chance we're ever gonna get. The Wisdom Ball believers.
It was so close, but I mean, shouts to Kun King overall, who, by the way, is in my fantasy team for Group A. this board did not look like the winning board, right? When you looked at perfect Golden Selfless, Golden Baron, full Divine Shield Murlocs, full Poison Murlocs, 2 of which having Divine Shield already, and then you look at Kun King's board, which has like a Nightshade Matron on it, you know, right? It didn't feel like it was the board that was going to get there. But specifically, picking the right options for the right fight, in particular, that Voidlord pickup. Oh no, that was Jinyu, sorry. But the Reborn Gascoiler picking up those that little bit of extra juice for dealing with Divine Shields. I think that's something that good players demonstrate quite well in these late game poison battles. Yes, poison battles can seem a little bit futile at times, but the really good players can understand when a card like Gascoiler, Voidlord, all of these things are useful, not only when to buy them, but where to position them in your lineup as well to make sure that your small minions have the maximum chance of hitting Divine Shields on the other side, which is something that I think that Kun King and Jinyu did incredibly well in that late game battle, which did go on for an extremely long time, by the way.
Yeah, was that turn 20 or turn 19?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, very long first game, whatever it was. But that, you know, that's the nature of those Murloc top 4s, because you're dealing such little damage even when you do win, because it's usually only 1 or 2 minions and they're usually low tavern tier. So, but very exciting first game for this this lobby 1, lobby 1A. But we still have a lot more action to come. We have 2 more games for this lobby, plus the entire second lobby, so 5 more left on the day. Plenty more chances for a player to pick Wisdom Ball and win, and plenty more plenty more games for Sottle to forget to put in his bandwagon on turn 1. So it's going to happen at least one more time. You're going to do the Sottle thing where you're like, I'm so smug, I have this really good point I need to say, and they're going to completely skip turn 1.
I wish I could argue with that, but that is exactly what happened in game 1, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely nailed me, indeed.
I know. But before we jump into that second game, we are going to have to go to a quick break. But don't go anywhere. More Lobby Legends action right after this.